Attention Caribbean authors and creators. Are you looking to elevate your literary journey? This is Kevin George, your host and presenter from TLC Tropical Literature Creatives, and I'm thrilled to share an exciting opportunity with you, introducing our bespoke promotional services designed exclusively for authors of Caribbean heritage. Whether you're a seasoned professional or a rising star, we're here to amplify your voice. From getting the word out about your book launch, your self-publishing services, or workshops, to sharing services that you offer to fellow authors and creatives. Visit our website or reach out to us today to explore how we can tailor our expertise to showcase your literary brilliance. Let's unlock the next chapter of success together. Greetings, listenership. Welcome to TLC, Tropical Literature Creatives, the podcast where we interview authors of Caribbean heritage about themselves and about their literary works. Today we have with us Sherma Cenac Modeste, author of the books, I should say, The Cinderella Tale, Volume 2. Sherma, welcome to Tropical Literature Creatives.
Good afternoon, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for agreeing to be interviewed. For the persons who are just tuning in, can you tell us which Caribbean island you're associated with?
Hi, so my name is Sherma Cenac Modeste, as Kevin said, and I'm from the beautiful Helen of the West, St. Lucia.
What is St. Lucia popular for? If it is that way, you wanted to invite us to come to St. Lucia.
Okay, well, we're very popular. I'm sure you are aware of the driving volcanoes, the
Ah,
only in the world. So we're very famous for our driving volcano. Very famous honeymoon destination. We've won quite a few awards in the past years because persons love our hospitality, the ambience, the greenery. So we're very big on ecotourism. So people come to us a lot for the sightseeing. There is a lot to see, lovely beaches, a lot of heritage, and just quite friendly people, a very warm environment that you can always let go and enjoy yourself.
okay. I mean, St. Vincent sounds like quite a place to visit. In terms of tourism, do you all host any literary events by chance?
Literary events concerning tourism.
Yeah,
Hmm.
for example, in Trinidad, I know that there's like Boca Lit Fest. Um,
Oh, okay.
in Jamaica, I know that there's Calabash. I know that there are a couple of other literary festivals as well, but I can't remember if there are any that are hosted in the other islands. So, I mean, during the course of the interview, I think
Uh-huh.
it'll just come to my remembrance, and I'll probably bring it up. But I know that a couple of the islands also host literary festivals.
Oh, okay. So in St. Lucia, for us, we celebrate Nobel Laureate Week, and that's in January because we have the most Nobel laureates per capita. We have Sir Alan Lewis and we have Derek Walcott. So they're both celebrating their birthdays on the 23rd of January. So that week, we celebrate Nobel Laureate Week where we pay homage, we have different activities. Usually, January, we have a calendar of activities to celebrate them. And within that calendar, we are not only highlighting our laureates, but we highlight our local writers and creatives as well. So for St. Lucia, it would be the Nobel Laureate Festival.
I knew you were holding out, I knew you were holding out. So yeah, there it is.
Yes.
Okay. In terms of your book, is it a self-published book or did you go through the traditional publishing process?
Well, I have thus far published, I have five publications, and they're all self-published.
Five
So
publications, you say?
yes, so the Cinder Tale which you spoke of, I have volume one and volume two. I
Mm-hmm.
have two books of poetry. The first being Air to My Thoughts, and the second Air to My Thoughts, a book of poetry, thoughts, prayers, and devotions. And I have a biography, He Lifts Me Higher, Road to Glory, which is the story of my mom's life. So I have five publications thus far, and they're all self-published.
Okay. In terms of how long did each of these books take? Did they take the same amount of time or was it a different period of time that it took to write for them for a person to have like an actual physical copy?
Well, so far, I would say what posed the most challenge to me was writing the two books of prose, The Cinder Tale and The Cinder Tale Volume 2, Happily Ever After. Reason being, I started writing from the age of 16, and I've always been very comfortable with poetry.
Hmm.
And when I started writing the Cinder Tale, I was undertaking a new challenge. So definitely for me, the Cinder Tale Volume 1 and Volume 2 were those that posed a little more challenge, and it took me the longest to write. As well, not only that, but in the whole writing process, I think we as creatives sometimes we are not traditional in terms of the use of pen and paper. So a lot of my writing, and a lot of my colleagues say the same thing to me. A lot of us, we write, you get the idea, you get the inspiration on the go. So you jot a note down on your phone. Um, I put things in my email. So you find with the Cinder Tales, both of the Cinder Tales, what you found happened that I already had almost a completed work, and for some reason I lost my digital footprint.
Oh
So my
no.
phone went bad, and I could not retrieve my documents. For both of them, that's what happened. So you found on both of them, I already had endings. I knew how I wanted to end the story. I'd already written it on my phone, and then my phone went bad and I lost both. So these were the most challenging for me because I actually never really had physical copies of the manuscript. I think that is well, the fact that we now so technologically advanced, I think most authors, most writers
Hmm.
spend a lot on their phones and their devices. And if these things go bad, then we basically like fish out of water. So I would say these were the most challenging for me, because one, I've always been more comfortable with poetry. Not only poetry, I at some point I thought I would have been a journalist because I've written a lot. I'm very comfortable in terms of writing journalistic style of writing,
Hmm.
and I also compose music. I may not be the traditional. I like calypso. I am into extempo. When I got married, I wrote my wedding song to walk down the aisle. So writing as well. I love all different genres, and I'm always of late my pastor is trying to challenge my thinking. I've been doing devotions for weeks of fasting, etc., etc. So I'm trying to get into a little of everything because I just love writing.
No, it sounds like that. I'm not too sure. I'm not a writer myself. So when it is a
Mhm.
writer tells me that they're exploring different genres, I'm always curious as to, I mean, how is it easy to transition from one to the next? For example, is it easy to do for a children's book, then shift into, let's say, a book for adults? I know that you're actually
Mhm.
writing for a different age group, a different
Mhm.
demographic, if you want to call it that. So I'm not too sure if it's easy to make the switch for some as opposed to others.
Okay. Well, with me, I'm actually a teacher by profession, so that's my day job and my income earner.
Ah, ah.
And so for me, as I said with the Cinder Tale, it was something new because I've always more catered to an adult audience. But the fact that I'm a teacher and you teach these things at school, you teach the story writing, and you have to come down to the little people's level. So that was one of the things that helped me, in terms of tapping into that genre. So for me, I teach. Also, I'm a member of the St. Lucia Writers Forum, which is a literary group. We also have 758 St. Lucia authors. So there are different avenues that actually help you as a writer to challenge yourself to write about different things and attend to different age groups. Currently, I'm trying, which is something I've not done, but I've been challenged recently to actually write for a younger audience. So I'm now trying to see if I can tap into a toddler, 3 to 5 audience. So
Mhm.
I'm actually working on something for that age range.
Okay, so you have to write something that's you don't have to, something that's simple and basic enough
Yeah,
so persons within that age group will be able to grasp the content.
exactly. Yeah.
When it is that you put books together, do you work together with an editor or are you your own editor?
Well, I always say I'm very fortunate. I have my dear friend and fellow writer, Mr. Ganchan Raymond.
Ah, yes, yes.
Yes, he's a veteran educator. He has retired, but his area is language and literature and English A language. So he does all of my editing. pro bono, free of charge, as a personal favor to me. So I have my editor, my colleague edits my work. I also have a good colleague who's also he's a teacher friend of mine. We work together. He's the one who actually uploads and he formats my material for Amazon. So after he does the formatting, etc., he designs my cover. Then it's just to upload. So I'm basically doing this. I'm not really encountering any overhead costs per se. Yeah,
Whoa, I
because
mean,
I
yes,
have things assisting me.
yes.
Yes.
I mean, self-publishing of itself, it really makes things easier for the authors. And I mean, it sounds like you have your network as well, your editor, designers, and so on. And I guess as you all work together, you're all able to,
Yeah.
cultivate the system and get more production out. I really
Yeah.
like the networking in that regard.
Yeah.
Uh,
Exactly. Yeah.
I know that you're working with these different persons who are assisting you in this regard,
Mhm.
um, who are help with the editing, who help with the designing. But being
Mhm.
a self-published author, are there any skills that you would have had to learn on your own to have your work published as well?
Well, for me, the biggest challenge was the whole, finding my way around Amazon.
Hmm.
So in the my first two publications, my colleague, Mr. Young, Mr. Chung Young, who does my formatting, and at first he used to upload. He did everything for me, but thereafter he's basically allowed me to do it on my own. So he does the formatting aspect of it, to ensure that the margins are in place, the borders, etc., everything is aligned. He does my numbering, and then he allows me to upload. Although that's one skill I would like to learn. I've already said to him I think he needs to have a workshop with me so I can upload my material so I can be efficient in that regard as well.
Ah, okay. So I guess even as an author, the learning doesn't stop. Even as a teacher, the learning doesn't stop.
You always keep learning.
Yeah, yeah. Have you had to do like marketing and stuff on your own, or was there someone to assist you with that, or is it something that you haven't had much of a problem with where your book is concerned?
Well, the marketing, should I say? I don't think it's a challenge because like a lot of other local self-published authors, I think I try very hard to market my work. I have my page on Facebook. Unfortunately, I'm not into Instagram, so I'm not an Instagrammer, but I try to get myself out there. I have a Facebook page. I am always looking for opportunities to highlight my workshop, showcase my craft. Of course, free of charge. I don't make money from these opportunities, but I'm always looking for ways to get my work out there. So I think for the most part, I am trying my best in the marketing field. Unfortunately, the reality is persons are not reading. So it's very difficult to make it in our region as a self-published author. At least if you are published with a publishing house, they now take on the responsibility of marketing your work, etc. But as it's very difficult, the environment is a really challenging one for self-published authors here in the Caribbean.
Mm, okay, okay. In terms of your work, where can persons get copies? Are they available in bookstores? Are they only available on Amazon, or can persons visit you to get copies of your work?
Well, most of my material is available on Amazon.com. We don't have many bookstores currently in St. Lucia. I have some of my first book of poetry at my thoughts. I have a few copies available at 758 St. Lucia Books locally, but for the most part, I have copies of my books for sale.
Oh, in terms of bookstores,
Mhm.
are they popular? Or
In St. Lucia bookstores,
mm-hmm.
again, no, 758 St. Lucia Books is a project that was undertaken by a lady called Dahlia Faswa. And she's really trying to push, but she is experiencing a lot of difficulty as well because, again, persons don't read. Um, the few bookstores that are here basically cater to selling school books. So it is very difficult to get your work out there, and parents not really interested in purchasing something if it's not on the book list. I
Okay.
have the Cinder Tale, one of my books, which is a very good book because I had a student last year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not sure if that applies to Trinidad. Right now in St. Lucia, we do what we call the Caribbean Primary Exit Examination, CPEA.
Mm-hmm.
And a component is that the children write a book report. And he had a copy of my book. I gave him a complimentary copy and he wrote based on the book, The Cinder Tale. So the
Mm-hmm.
Cinder Tale in itself can be used as a supplementary storybook in schools because there are all of the necessary components. But unfortunately, unless you have the backing of the Ministry of Education, this is a book that is recommended on the book list. You cannot really make your way into schools on your own. So that
Oh,
is quite a challenge for local authors. A lot of excellent Caribbean writers and Lucian writers, and unfortunately, they cannot tap into that market, get into the schools because you must be endorsed by the Ministry of Education.
what you're telling me is on one hand encouraging, but at the same time
Mhm.
unfortunate. It's encouraging because it's great that your material can be used by persons to help, with their reading and their comprehension skills. That is fantastic. That you
Mhm.
is it could be applied in this manner. But it's unfortunate, like you said, where stuff like this can only be achieved with the backing of the
Yeah.
ministry. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate. I want to ask you a question as a teacher, and you
Uh-huh.
see that that reading isn't as popular as persons would like in your island. What
Mhm.
advice or what would you recommend for persons or parents to help with their children reading more? What advice can you give to them? Maybe 3 points, if so much.
Well, for one, to assist with reading, parents need to ensure that their students put down their devices because that's what we have happening right now. They don't read because they on the device.
Mm-hmm.
So, for one, they need to limit a little of their contact time with the devices. Secondly, during that time now, they need to encourage the child to do a little reading. And with in terms of encouraging the child to do a little reading, it's always best you as a parent to read to the child, read to the child, read with the child. And this is a skill you need to develop from early. Because if not, then that's where the problem begins. The skill must be developed from early. A 1 year old can read in the sense that you give the child a picture book. A 2 year old, a 3 year old. My daughter, who is free, she reads. Now, she may not be saying what is on the page, but she takes a book, she sees a picture, she makes her own story in her mind. She's developing her imagination. So reading is very important to help develop the imagination, help with the storytelling skills. I am currently preparing my students for our national um, examination. We have a minimum standard, a national exam, and I'm having quite a dusty time because the students cannot use their imagination.
Oh,
So we as parents need to encourage, let them read. You go to the supermarket, they read the signs. You walking on they read the labels. You walking on the street, you see labels, you have them read the labels. You have them read the names of buildings. Reading is important. And we cannot just depend on the schools to help with this. We as parents need to play our part, and it starts from early. Picture reading, excellent as well. As I said, my daughter, she's free. She'll pick up a book. She doesn't understand what's there, but she'll look at the picture and there's a picture of a cat and she'll make up a story in her mind about the cat. It's okay. She's developing her imagination. So parents need to be a little more hands-on. We need to encourage our children to put down the device and do a little more reading. And we don't want it to be something that they see as punishment, but we as parents, we transition them into the process. So in the beginning, you're not just going to tell a child take a book and read. You as a parent, you sit with the child, you look at the cover, you have a discussion, you open the book, you do a little reading. These are the ways that we are going to develop and foster a love for reading in our children, because it's really important. We're finding right now more and more, we find a lot of children cannot read, and that is one of the biggest issues because we have become so dependent on the device. Most of these children are smarter than I am in terms of maneuvering the tech, but they cannot read because all they do is watch videos all day or in their spare time. And the videos itself sometimes are not even things that will propel them in the direction of becoming a reader.
Which age group do you teach?
I'm currently working with 8 to 9 year olds, grade four.
Well, that being the case, this particular age group, are there particular genre of books that they find interesting? The reason I ask is,
Mm-hmm.
I when I was younger, I wasn't too big into reading myself. I actually got
Mm-hmm.
my reading started. I actually started my reading with comic books, believe it or not, because I
Mm-hmm.
like the pictures, and the words were there, so I would read the words, and then over time, I kind of
Mm-hmm.
graduated from just books with pictures to books without pictures, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how my reading developed.
Mm-hmm.
Persons around that age group, I mean, what genre is popular, if any at all, have you observed?
Well, for the boys, because the boys seem to be doing more reading than the girls. So
Oh,
the boys are into, and even the girls to a certain extent, they're into the hero series. So
ah,
they're the age of the Roblox and the Marvel heroes, and these are the things I have them writing some stories for me right now, and that's the things they want to talk about.
hmm
And video games, so stories that have to do with gaming and heroes, even for the girls. The girls, well, they don't read much anymore. They're not into the fairy tales. I remember at that age I was into the Nancy Drew and things of that nature. Not
Hardy
so much.
Boys, I remember those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. But for the most part, most of the children are into these the Marvel hero movies and this kind of thing. Supergirl, Superman, this kind of genres, the fiction hero series. Even for the boys, both the boys and the girls, that's the things they gravitate towards. They're no longer into, growing up, we were our Cinderella stories, and now they're not into these things anymore.
Okay, okay. Well, I mean, we've spoken a bit about your background in education, the things that you face as a teacher, and
Mhm.
even the things that you are exposed to where students are concerned. Let's talk a little bit about the books in question. Cinder
Uh-huh.
Tale, Volume One and Volume Two. Can you just give
Uh-huh.
us like a brief overview as to what the books are about?
Okay. Both of these books, the first one, Cinder Tale Volume 1, I actually started writing it as a class project. I remember I was in a class and I was trying to encourage the students to write, and I said we had a 15-minute write challenge. So I started writing something. I came up immediately with the title, The Cinder Tale. And afterwards, I developed it into a short story and then it became a novella. But the whole, both in the Tale 1 and 2 are basically my Caribbean flavor, a Caribbean take on the Cinderella story. So we know Cinderella, this girl, her dad dies, she has an evil stepmother. But in Cinder Tale, we actually have a boy whose mom, he's orphaned, so both of his parents have passed away and he's left in the care of his stepfather. So we don't have a evil stepmother, we have a wicked stepfather. This boy has twin brothers. So he has stepbrothers who are twins, but they're basically babes. So they're little children. They're 2 years. And the story talks about the hardships he encounters having to deal with his stepfather who treats him very badly. But apart from dealing with this stepfather who treats him so badly, he now has a bully to contend with at school. So Signatal 1 goes about telling you the story of this boy, how he's living, interacting with his brothers. He finds himself being bitter towards them. They're just babies. They're not responsible for his situation at all. But because of the relationship with his stepfather, there is an animosity. And at that same time, he's now contending with a bully at school. In the end, there is a big showdown with the bully, and he's called in, the stepfather is called in, and the bully's mother, and then the stepfather starts to reflect, and he makes an effort to repair the relationship with his son. So basically I could have left it there, but I said, hey, um why not write a part two, happily ever after? So in the happily ever after, he and his stepfather, they're cool. This boy has now moved on to secondary school. He's living the life. He has three best friends. I go about detailing what happens daily at school. I'm highlighting the teaching staff, persons he has a good rapport with. I'm highlighting the principal and her style, and the students are so comfortable. Making a comparison between where he was in primary school and where he is now in secondary school. And in Cinder Tale 2, the twist, his father, who was presumed dead, has resurrected.
I mean, what?
um,
I mean, this. I mean, I'm thinking this. I'm the first when you started off, I'm thinking it's a Cinderella something, kind of something. But I mean, it
yes.
sounds more like a Young Unrest. Kind of something, you know.
Ah, yes.
What particular age group is this book intended towards?
So the first one, the language is simpler. So the first one, I would say nine, nine to teens. It can interest anywhere within that age. Nine to teens, the language is quite simple. For the second one, the language is a little more complex. So I would say 12 and up. Yes.
I'm just curious, in terms
Mhm.
of the books that you're doing, have you explored any other options? Like, say, for example, like an audiobook or so? Because I'm thinking if persons with a voice, the contents of this book, I think it would be a very entertaining. It would be a very entertaining segment. And I'm thinking maybe even like among your students as well. Sure, we encourage
Mhm.
persons to read, but I'm thinking
Mhm.
if you get persons in this book, the voices and the interactions, I think this would be
Mhm.
something that can get persons' attention as well. I'm just saying because it sounds exciting the way that you convey
Yeah.
information.
I this is something audio is something I've always explored, but I'm not I'm still I'm trying to find the know-how. How do I go about doing it? I think
Uh,
Amazon does it, but I'm not sure what is required. But audio definitely is a path I would like to take as well.
okay, I mean, I that sounds interesting. If it is that you do undertake it, I really
Mhm.
look forward to hearing it because again, the way that you conveyed it, I think I would just sit down with my cup of tea just to hear how the story goes.
Ah, thank you so very much. So appreciated. Yes, I think that's the next step for me. Yeah, I would love to do something of that nature.
Well, speaking of next step, I mean, 2024 is right around the corner. I mean,
Mhm.
what can we expect from you?
Well, I have an unpublished manuscript, as I said, in terms of the catering to a younger audience, toddler, 3 to 5, thereabout. I'm working on something and I'm hoping that I can get it out by early next year, God willing.
Ah, okay, okay. Well, when it is that you get it out, please contact us because we're really much interested to hear more about your offerings where literature is concerned.
Oh, thank you very much. We sure will do. And well, as you know, so apart from the prose, the Cinder Tale, there are others. My mom's biography, which is something really dear to my heart.
Well, we're coming to the end of our interview. Is there anything that you'd like to leave with our listeners at this point in time? Any advice, any lessons that you'd have learned that you would just want to share with us?
Okay, I would like to encourage persons who may want to write and they shine away from it. Um, the reality is, it may seem a little pessimist. I don't write because it's something that generates an income, but I write for the love of it. And even if I don't make monies off it, but just to know that you have something out there, you can touch someone's life. You know, there are persons reading your story. I think that is very important. You're leaving a legacy behind. And I want to encourage persons who probably been shying away from doing it. And again, it's quite easy right now, the self-publishing. It is very easy to self-publish. So I would like to encourage anyone who has been shying away from the challenge, who wants to take that leap. Take that leap. You know, it's a very interesting hobby. It's fulfilling. You know, I write writing is something I don't get tired of doing, you know, in any situation. A lot of my poetry, you know, I base it on, you know, you're going through something, you're experiencing something, you know, you write, you know, and when you write too, you can influence somebody's life, you can help somebody, you can make somebody's day better. So if there is a story you want to tell, do not shy away, go ahead and tell that story.
I mean, I hear you talking and I hear the passion in your voice.
Yeah. Yes, I do. I love writing.
And
So,
if it is that we didn't have an idea before, by listening to you talk, we're pretty certain that you have a passion for writing.
yes, I do.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Sherma Cenac Modeste, author of the book The Cinder Tale Volume 1, Cinder Tale Volume 2, as well as a couple of other literary works. Sherma, thank you very much for agreeing to be interviewed by Tropical Literature Creatives.
Thank you for having me, Kevin. Keep up the excellent work. You're doing a wonderful job. And I think that I must say, on behalf of myself and other Caribbean writers, we appreciate you for giving us the opportunity to get our voices heard. Thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. You take care.
You take care. Have a blessed one.
Okay,
Bye.
bye. You've been listening to TLC, Tropical Literature Creators. If you've heard something of interest or something you like, reach out to us. Reach out to our authors. Follow us on social media. We look forward to hearing from you.